Hello, all benders and non-benders, and welcome back to Avatar Generations. Today, we're going to be talking about the brand new 1.10 update coming to the game very, very soon. They added a nice little roadmap, as well as some updates to the extremely major balancing that certain heroes are getting that has a very, very high chance of very much impacting the meta. So let's get into it here and see what we've got. They do briefly mention here how Rise of Kyoshi was very exciting, and that they do plan on adding more to it, of course, but they will also be continuing Aang's journey as well. Looks like this 1.10 update is going to have a new kind of more original area, kind of similar to how Shangguang was original, with kind of a new side story, and looks like a new original villain, which is always a good time. And then 1.11 doesn't give a date for this, but it looks like this is going to take off from the imprisoned, the imprisoned episode of the main Avatar: The Last Airbender show, which of course follows them rescuing all the Earthbenders from the mining rig in the middle of the ocean. So that should be pretty cool. Always cool there. Talking about some new events here. Let's see here. Looks like they're gonna... looks like they're bringing back some of the early access heroes towards the end of the current update and then into 1.11. Very much, expecting things like the Blue Spirit and all that jazz. So that's pretty cool, as well as, hopefully, Princess Yue and Admiral Zhao, so that's very cool as well. Now, let's see here. We do have some light information on 1.12 and 1.13. Interesting thing, they say there's an important milestone coming for the game. I'm not sure if that's like some form of anniversary related to the pre-release. I'm not too sure what that could be, but no doubt it will have some very good rewards, and it does say it will introduce some of the most anticipated heroes that haven't appeared in the game yet. Who could that be? I'm just hoping for Azula. I'm waiting for Azula. Azula is one that I've been very much looking forward to, and I don't have her coming anytime soon, I'm imagining, but here's hoping. Here's hoping. Some new features here. What these don't seem like they're going to be added necessarily in this update, but they are in the works. They include some character customization, maybe some arts loadouts would be really nice. Something to just move a stack of loadouts or a stack of arts all at once would be very nice. So I'm wondering if that's what it means by character customization, but we shall see. An adventure mode revamp, which is interesting, and of course guilds, a staple of the vast majority of mobile games. Should be interesting to see how they develop that. They do mention that they won't be available in the short term, however they will provide updates, which is always good. Some other interesting things. Stage 6 Arts Expedition missions. Oh boy. So, what this could mean is, first of all, a higher chance of getting 3-star arts, which is fine and dandy, but I bet you these are also going to have 4-star arts dropping from them as well. That could get very interesting. So, something to kind of be on the lookout there in the future is arts farming could get very, very interesting very, very quickly. Revamping our early game guidance with player-friendly tutorials and focusing on bug fixing and quality of life issues. Always good stuff there. The tutorial definitely could use a little bit of an update. And of course, any bug fixes are always good. Some improvements to filtering, skill coin usage, and selling, also good. Some combat animation fixes. And this last little chunk of the sentence here really got my attention. And the summoning system, such as pity selection. Yes. Let's get some pity selection so that when there's more than one hero and you have one, you don't have to flip the coin and get one or the other. Yes, please. I would absolutely adore getting some pity selection to remove that fear, because I don't need that stress in my life. I just don't. I got lucky with Kiyoshi and Rongi, but woo, could have gone either way. Looking at the tuning preview, this is the biggie. This is going to be the headliner of the update because these are the balance changes. They do know that high defense is currently like the undisputed meta at the moment. So they are making a major change to the combat formula as far as how defense works on a character and how it affects how much damage they actually take. This seems to be very much to make offensive heroes actually feel like they can do damage, because offensive heroes, unless they do have some truly nutty scaling, kind of like Fire Nation Zuko or Rongi, they haven't been doing a whole lot of damage. This is just the truth of the matter. So if we take a look at the system updates here, of course, all this is tentative. It could change. But the damage formula has been updated to reduce the mitigation percentage of stacking defense. This basically means that defensive-based heroes, or heroes that have stacked defense, like Zenfu, of course, Kiyoshi, Rider Zuko, they will take more damage. The defense will not quite block as much damage as it used to. They're tweaking the formula a little bit. Important to note, this is not necessarily blocking the offensive capability. I know it does say that, okay, yeah, please note the stacking defense for offensive purposes will not be affected by the change, although there have been some tuning adjustments. We'll get to that in just a second. Basically, they're just affecting the ability to resist damage. So these defensive-based heroes, they are going to start taking more damage from their enemies. Very important to keep in mind. Could very much shake the meta to where these bulky heroes like Zenfu, Rider Zuko, they won't do quite as well. But we're going to get into the rest of this here and see what else we have. The marked state now additionally lowers the defense of the target by a very chunky 60%. Restrict debuff, now this is on Avatar Yoon, this is a new thing. The defense and res reduction will be increased from 35% to a staggering 65%, really just shutting them all the way down. And then the covering stance from Pirate Man will now grant an additional 30% increased max HP, just to make him a little bit bulkier, as well as granting that crit damage resistance. So, good stuff there. And now we do have hero tuning updates. So let's get into this here. For offensive Toph, that's the 5-star version. Remove Toph's weakness to the air element for her passive, so the passive will just work on anything now. Really didn't play into much. I mean, on the off chance you got hit by an air element, but there really weren't a whole lot in the game aside from Airbender Aang, so not that crazy of a change there, but it is a little bit of a buff just to make this a little more uniform. Jiang now gains 10 focus on advanced skill use. Increases the duration of buff effects she receives. Some mastery updates, and then attacking marked targets now decreases the turn bar of all enemies. So that's kind of cool. Here's some big stuff. So Avatar Kiyoshi, the 5-star version, the Vengeance State trigger chance has been reduced from 50% to 35%. And then her defensive scaling has been decreased a little bit due to the updated combat formulas. So, this is a little bit of, it's a nerf, but she's also getting her bugs fixed. So, it'll probably be at least a wash, if nothing else. They first of all reduced her vengeance chance to 35%. Yeah, that's fair, honestly, because she does do a lot. Even with the bug where she can only attack once, that one attack really hits hard. So 35% chance, that's fair. I think that's fair, actually. And then they do decrease her scaling a little bit. With the adjustment to the formulas, keeping in mind that defense will not block as much damage, I foresee Kiyoshi probably actually doing about the same amount of damage. Because, yeah, they're decreasing her scaling a little bit, but the enemy also can't resist as much damage. So it's kind of like, yeah, she doesn't do as much damage, but they don't block as much damage, which is kind of a wash, actually. And then factoring in that the Vengeance State is actually going to work correctly, even at 35% chance, I don't see Kyoshi being any less useful anytime soon. So I think that's just kind of good to keep in mind. Technically, a nerf, but more so bringing her in line with the current changes, which I think actually is for the best. Rangi over here getting a bit of an accuracy stat buff from 10% to 25%. I think this is very logical because her advanced absolutely hinges on being able to get that rank 3 fire element on the enemy. So very good stuff there. Pirate Man getting a very nice buff. His basic skill now deals additional penetrating waterbending damage that ignores resistance. So basically, his basic, when he's doing that waterbending AoE hit, it will always inflict the waterbending element, and it's going to do some extra damage. So very cool stuff there. And then his advanced skill, where he gets to a covering state, actually grants him an extra turn now. So you can use that advanced skill, get the covering state, and then immediately follow up with that AoE basic to put down that earth element on the enemy. So very cool stuff there. We do have the Fire Nation captain here. He hasn't been released in a powerful opponent yet, but he is getting a little bit of a buff here. Basic skill increased a little bit. His advanced skill now grants an extra turn, which, yeah, that makes sense. I think that's fair. And then Desperation now removes all negative effects and debuffs, so that's pretty cool. Some buffs to his mastery skills, and mastery level 4 decreases his skill cooldown by 3. So cool stuff there. Cool stuff. Nothing too crazy. I mean, it's hard to say because he's not even a playable character in the game yet, but that's just what it is. Commander Zhao, increase HP stat scaling. They're really trying to make me use Zhao. I don't wanna. I just don't. He's not good. Anyways, Kyoshi Warrior Sokka, his skill damage is getting an increase, always cool. His advanced skill is getting an increase, always cool. Advanced skill positive stat removal trigger chance, increased to 5% per skill level. If you do have multiple Sokkas, that's a good thing for you. And then the damage reduction is applying to all allies. So that's kind of an interesting little supportive thing there. Always good. Paku is getting some increased penetrating damage. Cool stuff there. Offensive Sokka, the advanced skill hit now ignores a percentage of the target's defense. And they're getting an increase to the stun chance. So I think he'll definitely like that. Always good stuff there. Gyatso getting a bit of a buff here, with the passive now permanently increasing the speed and accuracy of all allies by 5% each attack, and this is doubled for air element allies. So making him very interesting, where he can support his entire team, making them not only faster, but able to apply debuffs more. So that's very cool there. The Water Tribe Katara, her basic skill is getting an increase to her freeze chance to 70%, with 6% scaling per skill level, and the attack can no longer be countered. So that is interesting. That is very interesting. I'm not sure, because of course I don't have her, so I don't know her base stats. I'm not sure if this 70% is factoring in the 6%, or if this means at maximum level, she would get a 100% chance to freeze. Either way, very cool stuff. Last Airbender, Aang, this is the Mind Aang with the Avatar State passive. His stat scaling is getting decreased a little bit. Speed stat scaling reduced by 20%. Reason for this is with enemies taking more damage now, with the defense formula being adjusted a little bit, this guy would wipe out whole countries with his AoE attacks. If you trigger his abilities, it'd just be over. So he's getting a little bit of a tune down, which, yeah, that's fair. And then the two current kings of Arena, Rider Zuko and Xin Fu. Zuko, his advanced skill is getting some decreased damage scaling due to the changes. And then Xin Fu, his basic, is getting some decreased scaling. So they're being kind of brought in line. Same as Kyoshi. I kind of expect for them to do similar damage to what they're doing now. At least to bulkier heroes. But their stats are getting tuned down just a little bit since the defensive aspect of things is getting tuned down as well. So very interesting stuff there. The relic tuning. Statue of Kyoshi is going from 4% to 2% per level, maxing out at 20%. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. That one, even working correctly, the Statue of Kyoshi is undisputedly the best defensive relic, so yeah, that makes sense. And then Desecrated Fountains getting a little bit of a buff to 8% per tier, which maxes out at 60%. I haven't really used that relic, but hey, that's just something good to know. Some combat bug fixes, always good. Always good. Fix for attacks that cannot land as a weak hit, being overridden by weak hit effects. Some fixes to the Kyoshi relic for healing through heal block. These are the two biggies for me. Kyoshi and Pirate Man fixing the bug where they only counter once per battle. I didn't actually know Pirate Man was having that issue, but Kyoshi, yeah, she was having that issue. So that is finally fixed. Thank goodness. Another interesting thing here, fix for Tegaka, her advanced skill multiplier was being lower than intended, which means that she wasn't doing the damage she was supposed to be doing. I'll have to retest all that and see how that has actually affected her, because like I said, I was having a hard time squeezing damage out of her. Now, other people, some very clever souls have actually gotten Tegaka to a point where she can do a lot of damage. Noted that it does require quite a bit of investment into her and into a very specific core of support heroes, but with a little work, it can be quite effective if you know what you're doing and if you're getting her those damage buffs. But it looks like she's getting a bug fix that is going to translate to a buff for her. So good to know. Fix for Rider Zuko decreasing defense and resistance stats when in taunting stance. Yeah, I noticed that one. That one was a little weird. Okay. Fix for Xin Fu not applying to the enemy with the highest defense as stated. Yeah, I noticed that one as well. That was a weird one. That was a really weird one. A fix for Batting Master Katara with her cooldowns, a fix for Aang not healing, and a fix for Zuko not healing when they go into their special states. So, some cool stuff there. Obviously, the biggest one is, of course, these hero tuning changes with Zuko, Xin Fu, and Kyoshi probably being the biggest ones. How do I think about this? I think Kyoshi's still going to be very good, because, like I said, even though they decreased her damage, they've also decreased the formula at which defense actually blocks damage, so I think that's going to be a wash. And with her Vengeance state, even though it is going down to 35%, it's actually going to function correctly, and it can happen every time the enemy is attacked. So I don't think that's going to be too much of a detractor for her. In fact, I think that is actually probably for the best, because just 50% is a high chance. That is admittedly a high chance. I thought that was a little high to begin with. So honestly, I think that for the state of the game, reducing that to 35% is fair. And then, of course, Zuko and Xin Fu getting some decreases their damage, again factoring in the new formula with defense blocking damage. What does this mean for the meta? I think it means that actual damage dealing heroes are going to have some new life squeezed into them so that they can actually break these actual brick walls that have been plaguing upper level arena. Right now, I'm currently in 12th place in Arena in my server, basically. And it is all just Rider Zuko, Zinfu, Kyoshi. Sometimes you might mix in a Kiwok or a Captain Boquin or something like that. It is just brick wall versus brick wall, and that gets a little boring every now and then. So I'll be very curious to see what meta arises from this. Theoretically, this should be the next Tuesday. I believe they said the tentative date is the 16th, and the current date is the 14th, I think. I don't remember. I don't know. But yeah, so very cool stuff coming in 1.10 with even more coming down the road. I'm just saying, I don't care what else they add. Pity selection, yes. I just want that. That's all I want. Out of everything in this update, that's what I take away from this, is I really, really, really want pity selection. But that is what we have for today. Let me know down in the comments below what you think of this update and how you think it will affect the current meta. And we shall see you next time. Have a good one.